We have only an hour. I'm a little worried about timing, and we don't want Nelson not to have any time to present. So I'm going to try and be, I'm hoping, because I'm moderating, I'm timing. I don't think there's anybody else who's, I think if we were there in the room, there would be somebody saying 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute. So. And I noticed, at least when I had my screen on, I couldn't see anybody. Like, that's all I can see, my presentation when I share. Can you see the screen as well as the presentation when you share your screen?
No, when I share, I just see my slides.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Okay. 10:45. I'm going to start. Bianca? Very good. Thank you. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Welcome to the session on sector-specific approaches to addressing the international development data skills gap. I am Dr. Mitali Sen from the International Program Center of the U.S. Census Bureau, where we help LMICs strengthen statistical capacity for official statistics. I will be moderating this session. The range and depth of data demands emerging out of the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals are unprecedented, and meeting them requires strengthening a data skills gap that exists across government and civil society. Often, government staff in low and middle-income countries receive training on various statistical subjects and survey operations in an ad hoc manner from various regional and international institutions, risking duplication of effort, uneven quality, lack of programmatically focused staff capacity, or abundant training in some statistical and operational areas and large gaps in others. At the same time, while funders encourage civil society organizations to access the benefits of more robust data practices, funding for data infrastructure, training, and personnel remains difficult to secure. As a result, CSOs in LMICs face significant barriers to their ability to use data for decision-making, an issue that is exacerbated by the challenges they experience in attracting and retaining data talent. Today's panel will feature two sector-specific approaches to addressing the international development data skills gap, one focused on official statistics, and another approach centered on building data capacity for nonprofits in a manner that advances civil society impact goals while also building a case for further internal and external investments in a nonprofit's data journey. Now, let me introduce our distinguished panelists. Ms. Bianca Walsh is Director's Technical Assistant at the Institute in Brazil for Geography and Statistics, called IBGE. She will discuss some of the lessons learned in the attempt to establish a statistical training program for Brazil's national statistical system. Mamadou Cissé from African Institute for Economic Development and Planning, Senegal, was not able to attend, but I will be presenting on his behalf on the work of the Global Network of Institutions for Statistical Training. Dr. Nadia Askir is an assistant scientist in the Bloomberg School of Public Health, Johns Hopkins University, and CEO of Modern Scientists Global. She will share the experience of serving as an implementation partner for the Patrick J. McGovern Foundation's Booster Program, working with nonprofit organizations in Uganda, India, and Bangladesh to refine their data questions and chart a path to impact that draws on existing data sets and upskills existing nonprofit data talent. Last but not least, Mr. Nelson Waswa is the executive director of the Sodzo Foundation in Uganda. He will speak to the impact of their organization's work with the PJMF Booster Program on their approach to empowering communities along the shores of freshwater bodies to fight macroplastic pollution using data. The panelists will present their papers followed by a discussion session. Please hold your questions till the end. Ms. Bianca Walsh, the floor is yours. Please share your presentation.
Just a second. Share. Sharing. Oh, okay, now yes. It was locked. Just a sec. My PowerPoint. Okay, I'm going to. It's interesting because before the PowerPoint was showing for me to share, and now it's not anymore. Okay, let me see. So I'll share, I guess, the screen and then try doing this. Can you see my presentation? Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it. Yes.
Yes, I can see it.
Sorry. I had to come back here because I need 2 documents. Just a sec. It was working before I tested that. I don't understand why it doesn't show anymore in my window. Okay, let me see.
We saw it.
No, yes. Okay.
Are you sharing
And
it
now
now?
can you see it?
Not yet.
Yes. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it now.
Oh.
If you get into
Okay.
slide mode, yeah.
Okay. So my warm greetings to everyone. I would like to share
Sorry. Can you go into slide
Okay.
mode? Because I'm not sure you're on.
I'm having problems here. Is
okay.
it better? Okay.
Yeah, much
Okay.
better. Good.
Yeah. Okay. So I would like to share our experience at IBGE, the Brazilian NSO, on lessons we learned while we are still in the process of establishing a statistical training program. At IBGE, we have 2 major training lines of work. One that serves the survey census training chains. And most of them, of the people working, the census agents, they are hired temporarily. And the second kind of public consists of IBGE's internal staff, and the NSO staff. So I'll talk a little about now about the survey census training chains. The first big lesson regarding this public is to find formats to deal with this mass, but without losing sight of quality, because here we are talking about big numbers. Yes, for IBGE, the whole Brazilian territory, we have a lot of people to conduct the surveys, especially the census. So here we learn to combine massive self-paced e-learning with on-job training, local training in a chain fashion, using multipliers, a group training a bigger group, and so on and so forth. That's why it's crucial to train trainers very well, because in the end, it is them who we can count on. We made a huge effort to train trainers, especially for the last census, and we had a very positive feedback from all the state units of IBGE. We have 27 states in Brazil, and IBGE is in all of them, so we have 27 state units. We prepared them with didactics, technical skills, and knowledge, and especially due to the pandemic, with online teaching techniques at the time. me just show you a screen. Well, this is a screen of our learning course for the Training of Trainers project. And here you can see how we spread knowledge about didactics, covering the main teaching principles that guided the census training. These are the principles we taught. The challenge for this public particularly was how to grant quality training for staff hired in the middle of surveys or census. Because in IBGE, and I believe this is a reality for other NSOs, we have a high turnover rate. So we have people arriving in the middle of the operations, and we have to train them very fast. They almost learning practice with supervisors and colleagues. So to preserve quality here is a constant challenge. We have thought of some ways to deal with that, but we would like to exchange practices with other NSOs. And I try to advocate for that in international forum whenever I can and wherever I can. Okay. On the other hand, for the NSO staff, we have also learned some lessons. We invested a lot on needs assessment to make it integrated, optimized. We pay attention to soft skills, risk management, media training, for example, for our staff. We learned the importance of developing learning trails, profiting majorly from existing resources, because we observe we couldn't meet all the needs internally by developing our own courses. And we observe people need that sort of guidance they find in trails, yes. And now we're very attentive to statistical literacy for non-statisticians. At IBGE, we invested considerable time and efforts, and this is an example of the form we use for the needs assessment. And we are proud that today we have a more realistic list of needs annually. In the past, just for you to have an idea, we had 800 needs, about 800 needs, and now with 200 needs, we cover in a very integrated way the needs we have in the whole Brazilian territory IBGE occupies. For that, we developed a special questionnaire. You can see a print screen from the inquiries about the need. And as they fill this form, they think about the needs associated with performance gaps and also with the impact for the institution if that need or if those needs are met. A network of capacity building representatives in each state of Brazil work with us to assess needs in a more mature way with their managers. They now know that not every problem they face can be solved with capacity building. And they also know that asking for capacity building requires planning and work process monitoring. For a sustainable training program, we also noticed that we are not enough. We need to use existing resources, and the major source of learning opportunity is this government central body we have in Brazil. It's a school, it's the Central School of Government Schools called ENAP, and they have a portal, which is actually a hub of training opportunities from several government schools in Brazil. This is a print screen of their portal. You can see several kinds of courses, quality evaluation, developing teams with high performance, lots of soft skills here. Yeah, but we find them very important also for our staff. We also have our internal catalog with our courses. So this is another example. This is a print screen of our catalog. Of course, internally, we are very much more attentive to the specific needs tailored to the reality of IBGE, but not losing sight of the soft skills necessary for statisticians and all the staff that support the work of data production. Okay. For this public, I highlight 3 challenges for the internal public. So here we still have to invest in impact assessment, for example, so that the results can feed back into more fit-for-purpose learning solutions. We need to be constantly ready to update our menu of learning opportunities as new technologies are incorporated and new skills are necessary. So that demands from us constant research from of our team, looking for better opportunities for training and capacity building. And lastly, on statistical literacy, I have particularly worked on it because other than statisticians, there is a whole group of NSO employees who need better understanding of statistics, especially official statistics, to perform better and help in the production and dissemination of data. Thank you, and I return the floor to you, Mitali. Sorry for the long presentation, but I was lost here with technology. I'm not sure if time is okay.
Time is okay, Bianca. Thank you for your presentation, and so good to see Brazil doing so much in terms of there. Okay, so if you can stop sharing your screen, I can start sharing mine. Okay, let me see. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So I am actually presenting on behalf of Mamadou, and this is the work of the Global Network of Institutions for Statistical Training that I'm going to share with you. And the US Census Bureau is also part of this network, as is Brazil. So I'm going to give you a little overview of what this network does. We call it GIST. We're going to share with you some of the achievements of GIST and then looking ahead what GIST will do. So this is our website. It's a UN Statistics Division initiative that has brought together institutions that provide statistical training, basically to build sustainable statistical capacities through efficient, effective, and harmonized delivery of statistical training. There is a lot of training people are getting in different institutes, but there's often duplication of effort. There's perhaps lack of quality. Sometimes it's very ad hoc and not systematic. So the idea was that the 2030 agenda was so demanding for many NSOs that we needed a network of institutions for statistical training that come together to harmonize the delivery of training, etc. So the GIST members belong to 3 types of organizations. They have international agencies like the FAO, IMF, World Bank, ILO. Then there are some regional agencies and training institutes like UNCAP in Japan, African Development Bank, EastTech in Tanzania, ANSIA in Senegal, ATRIS in the Arab world. And then there are few country national statistics offices, like the US Census Bureau, that provide assistance to other countries. And they are also part of GIST: Brazil, China, India, Norway, Republic of Korea, and United States. In addition, there is a stakeholder advisory group of various national statistics offices that help actually set the agenda for what GIST does. So GIST achievements, the work of GIST is work done through 3 task teams: addressing specific NSO demands, online gateway and e-learning community of practice, statistical literacy in the context of the 2030 agenda. Now, Team 1 on addressing specific NSO needs has been working on building sustainable statistical training programs at the national level. Specifically, we are developing a statistical training assessment tool which works through 3 questionnaires to identify the level of skills and training needs in a national statistics office, as well as in the national statistics system. So there are 3 questionnaires, one that is administered at an individual level, where individuals needs assessment for their skills. And then there is one that is institutional needs assessment, where managers assess what is required and what exists. And then finally, a national statistical systems needs assessment questionnaire that assesses the needs of staff within the entire statistical system working with statistics production. In addition, this task team has produced a guidance document that provides recommendations on how to prioritize and implement a training program. We are going to start piloting it in 2 countries, which is Ghana and Malawi, and then we hope from the lessons we learned that it will be used by other countries. Team 2 is the online gateway and e-learning community of practice. One of the things the GIST network realized is that it would be great to have a platform with very good standardized courses that have been developed by various institutions, and to make them all accessible on one platform. So we have established a hub for statistical training materials on UNSDG Learn. That's what it's called, and that's the link. There are over 140 courses and micro-learnings and various statistical documents available. There is collaboration with IAEG's SDG. There are new features, adjustments to the interface that make it easy for people to take training. We are also in this task team exchanging experiences on the assessment and potential template for certification of courses. How do we get people certificates? And approaches and recommendations on effective online training. This is what UNSDG Learn looks like. It asks, what do you want to learn today? And then you can click on demographic social statistics or whatever, strategic managerial. And then once you click on one of these, it'll take you to the courses that are relevant. And these are the kind of courses, they are all listed, and they're mostly self-paced e-learning that you click. Some are available in French and Spanish, but primarily English. And then thanks to IBGE, we have quite a few Portuguese ones too. So that's task team 2. Task team 3 has been working on statistical literacy, which means, official statistics is produced, but we need an audience that can understand statistics. So civil society's statistical literacy needs to be improved. So there is an inventory of initiatives in statistical literacy relevant to official statistics that's up on this website. We have been engaging with the International Statistical Literacy Program. We have a template for adding more and more materials, and a guidance document for NSOs on statistical literacy is being developed. Looking ahead, GIST continues to expand the inventory of courses available on UNSDG Learn. We are going to finalize the statistical training assessment tool that national statistics offices and the system can use. We're going to assist countries in taking ownership and setting up curriculums for sustainable in-house training programs. We're going to translate materials to languages other than English, specifically French, Spanish, Arabic, through a translation group, and others if we have more support. And then we're going to do some outreach to publicize all the work that GIST has done and the course platform and the tools that are available. With that, I end my presentation for Mamadou on GIST. Thank you very much. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I invite Dr. Nadia Aksir to begin her presentation. Thank you, Nadia. You have the floor.
Thank you. Just trying to share my slides. Okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes. Thank you.
Sure,
Perfect.
thank you.
Okay, excellent. Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Nadia Aksir. I'm a scientist at Johns Hopkins University and also a scientist and CEO of Modern Scientists Global, which is a public health consulting firm based in Canada. Today, I wanted to chat with you a little bit about enhancing the data capacity of nonprofits in low and middle income countries, the results of a booster program. So a little bit of setting the scene here. The Patrick J. McGovern Foundation, PGMF, through its engagement over the past 5 years, has funded hundreds of grant partners, which are most specifically nonprofit organizations, to help adopt the use of advanced data management and analytic practices to support their impact goals. In other words, helping these nonprofits make substantial progress in their respective data journeys according to their nonprofit missions. There was a challenge, however. They found through their programming that the available data training and use options for nonprofits, especially in the early stages of their data journey, were often limited, particularly in low and middle income countries. So an idea came about, which was, what if we could develop a program that could help boost these nonprofits in the early stages and help them get closer to their data goals and data journeys in the longer term. So we thought about developing a program that has a generalizable set of short-term enrichment activities to prepare these nonprofits at earlier stages of their data journeys. And then that'll help them get prepped and ready to get the most out of any future advanced data analytics and management practices. So they launched this pilot program and decided to explore, first off, in a set of nonprofits among low and middle income countries that are focused on climate change. And to do that, they brought on a data and advanced analytics implementing partner to support the program's delivery. So that implementing partner is Modern Scientists Global, MSG, which is a global public health consulting firm based in Canada that specializes in using AI technologies and other advanced analytic tools to answer important research questions. We bring together multidisciplinary data scientists, such as from the climate space, statisticians, machine learning, geospatial, and so on. And we came into this pilot program to support PGMF's vision and provided technical support to 3 climate action focused nonprofits to help them boost them in their data infrastructure and analytics journey. So what did this booster program do? Over a 3 to 4 month intensive work period, we aligned closely with these nonprofits and supported them in the following activities. We assisted them with refining their data questions based on available data assets and their nonprofit missions. We helped them adapt their proposed methodologies to make the best use out of various advanced analytic tools that may be available to them, especially those that are open source. We help them in defining, vetting, and preparing data sets, refining their data collection or acquisition and management processes, and designing data sustainability plans that would help support them beyond the booster program. We assisted them with identifying appropriate and accessible tools and technologies that are relevant for the type of work that they want to do. For instance, in the geographic and remote sensing space, AI or machine learning, cloud-based platforms, and so on. We also advise them on the design and execution of their data analyses, for instance, providing them training on software, helping them interpret the data or do data visualizations, and then also assisted them through the process of thinking through dissemination of findings through various products such as peer-reviewed scientific papers or dashboards. I want to share a little bit about the 3 nonprofits that we supported in this pilot program. So the first was the Sodzo Foundation, which is based in Uganda. The Sodzo Foundation is a nonprofit that uses modern technologies, policies, and education to solve local challenges in water, sanitation, sustainable cities, and communities in climate action. They initiated the Luna project that detects micropollutants on the shores of Lake Victoria in Uganda using smartphone and drone imagery of the shore. So you will actually hear from them a little bit later today. We worked with the Center for People Environment in Bangladesh as well, which is a nonprofit that aims to promote sustainable development. And they're interested in using satellite imagery to determine spatial and temporal patterns of methane emissions in Bangladesh. And finally, we supported the Nature Conservation Foundation, which is an India-based nonprofit focused on the understanding ecology and conservation of India's wildlife from a range of habitats using innovative research and data solutions. They actually initiated the Season Watch project, which is a citizen-reported system that collects data on tree seasonality across India. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you a little bit on what specifically we did with each of the nonprofits. I will skip over the Sodzo Foundation because you will hear from them in a few moments. So let me go on to the Center for People and Environment in Bangladesh. So they were interested in developing a methane reduction framework and actively including participation of the government of Bangladesh and development actors. However, they had no in-house data sets collated or ready to go. They knew they wanted to work in this space, but they didn't have the data. So MSG assisted them with finding and obtaining. We then helped them organize all of that into master data sets and migrated that data on to easily access the data and have it ready to go in real time, and multiple folks can work on it at once. MSG additionally trained and provided support to the CPE's data team to advance their data analytics skills, especially in the space of machine learning and cloud-based analytics. They had some data scientists who were really interested in using machine learning, and in fact were running models. So our team connected with them and provided trainings, one-to-one workshops, and so on to help them advance in that space. We also assisted them with developing an evidence base and stakeholder mapping. Since they wanted to influence government and development partners, we felt that this is really important to understand the environment around them. Who else is working in the methane emission space in Bangladesh? Who are the key stakeholders, and who could they connect with to ensure that their nonprofit has maximum reach and impact with their projects as well. And then finally, we assisted them in developing a data and analytics sustainability plan, keeping in mind that the booster program was only 3 to 4 months with each nonprofit. So we wanted to ensure that past the booster program, they would be equipped and ready to continue on their data journeys. With the Nature Conservation Foundation in India, we also did a series of activities. They were specifically interested in understanding the baseline latitudinal and temporal patterns of vegetative and reproductive phenology in tropical trees. So doing a series of analyses based on their citizen-reported data set on how this pattern shifts in tropical trees in India. So they had this data set that was civilian reported smartphone data. So essentially, civilians had an app in their phone. They could go out in their communities and they could see that tree patterns were changing, leaves were falling, or leaves were changing color, and they would be able to document that into their phone, into the app, and that would go be uploaded to a central data repository. So they had a series of data from 2014 to 2022, so many years of data, but hadn't actually gotten in there to analyze it or understand what the data means. So MSG came in and assisted them with data cleaning. There was a lot of missingness and a lot of messiness in the data. So we helped them understand their data and clean it up and prepare it for analyses. We also sourced secondary data sets for them as well, because there were some other data that was available in India and also from other repositories that captured these types of phenomenon. So we wanted them to be able to link to other data sets and contrast and compare, or at least better understand their own data story in the context of these other data sets as well. So we helped them source those and compile them into a master data file. And then we provided analyses, workshops, and trainings on various data visualization and statistical analysis methods that were relevant to the type of questions that they wanted to answer. We also assisted them directly in implementing analyses, since their capacity was low and they didn't have the technical staff. So we ran some machine learning models for them and did geospatial mapping. And finally, we helped them in developing a data and analytics sustainability plan as well, so that they were equipped beyond the booster program. So there were a series of outputs from these engagements, and I'll just touch on a few of them. We were very proud to work with these nonprofits and be able to have some output in the end of that 3 to 4 month window. To be able to share that. And to us, that was a big moment where we could say, yes, this was a successful initiative as well. So with the Sodzo Foundation, we were able to assist them in developing a real-time dashboard that automatically updates based on the data that's
You're breaking up, I think.
In the activity. And then with the Nature Conservation Foundation, we have gone ahead and written up a scientific paper as well that's already been submitted to People in Nature. You see the title there. And we're also working on some policy briefs with them. Okay, so that is a little bit about the program and what we were able to do. I am now going to hand the mic over to Nelson, who leads the Sodzo Foundation in Uganda, and he will share with you what we were able to accomplish together as part of the booster program. Nelson, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mitali and Nadia, for the introduction. My name is Nelson Waswa, and I'm the Executive Director of Sodzo Foundation. And we are using modern technologies to push the human race forward with a vision of a life better for all and a mission of remaining committed to creating resilient, sustainable technology solutions for the human race and society. We are pushing the human race forward by developing a couple of projects, and one of them is detecting the melting glaciers, mountain Renzoli, preventing illegal activities in game parks, using AI to actually understand the patterns, behaviors, as well as the movement of wildlife animals in relationship to the surrounding communities, such that both can coexist in harmony without interference. Above all, we are working on a project called Launa, which is empowering communities along the shores of freshwater bodies by the use of a smartphone, imagery, data, and drones. Today, Lake Victoria has a population of over 40 plus million people, and a population density of 250 people per square kilometer. Above all, it's actually the largest freshwater lake in Africa, with a 3% remaining, with the 3% remaining of freshwater bodies in the entire world, we are working alongside with partners to make sure that we preserve the only limited freshwater we are having. Next slide. Through the development of Launa, we actually use a couple of tools. We use the Python programming language from our machine learning backend, as well as capturing of images in the field. We use our AWS cloud service as our storage, as well as a center for all the services of our project. We use TensorFlow to train our models, and we quantize TensorFlow Lite, which we actually deploy onto our smartphones while in the field. YOLO is basically used to improve the performance of our models that we are trying to train and develop with time. Next slide, please. So when images actually are sent onto the cloud server, which is Amazon AWS, they're actually stored at S3 standard, where they are actually sent onto the Amazon SageMaker, and they are pre-processed using the notebook. The notebook also helps in the augmentation of these images, where they are actually classified, distorted, cropped, among other things. When these images are pre-processed, they are then sent back to Amazon S3 service, whereby now we are combining the processed data and the raw data and prepare that data for our training model. The model is in position to use the features of the pre-processed data and the raw data to learn extra features and also perform better in real-world settings. In some certain scenarios, we also create a customized environment where we are actually using a Docker Hub to train some images. We then store our trained model into the Amazon S3 under a TensorFlow Lite format or in other formats that we may be needing at a certain point. Then we use our endpoint for reference, such that this model can either be used in a smartphone or drones or sensor, depending on a certain need while in the field. Next slide, please. We actually store our image. We actually store our metadata in the RDS, which is used to populate the dashboard, providing data points of the regions of interest where the macropollutants have been detected and to what extent, showing the number of pollutants detected, as well as being in position to maybe pick a few attributes like timestamps, IP addresses, geocoordinates, among other things. From RDS, this data is jumbled or mixed up, so we first create it and catalog it such that it reflects the extent of pollution based on the location, using actually the Lambda function. So the catalog data is stored in an SV file that we then store in an S3 packet with a public access bucket policy, making the SV accessible via a URL, which is a public access point in this case. This URL can be used to dynamically provide updates to the data points for use in our ArcGIS dashboard using a Python script. Next slide, please. So we use the dashboard in several ways. One, we are actually using this real-time intelligent dashboard to monitor macropollutants through a single screen. We are using the time series chart as well as time series data to help researchers and academicians in several capacities in their research and during finding new information in regards to macropollutants. Just adjacent to the pie charts where we are showing the types of pollutants we've detected, we are in position to now zoom in, get more details of the location by a few clicks, through spatial analysis. And this helps so much of the policymakers in the allocation of resources and in the fight against microplastic pollution. Next slide, please. We are privileged to be supported by the Patrick J. McGovern Foundation and supported by Modern Scientists Global through our booster program, where we have been in position to create an interactive real-time dashboard, validate our idea, as well as be in position to advance the development of the project. Today, we are actually collecting more data and helping out. This data and the dashboard are helping out in planning, decision making. They're helping out in also strengthening the feedback loop of between citizens and policymakers, such that there is sustainable development in Uganda, as well as the East African region where Lake Victoria is actually shared. We were also able to create an engagement, a stakeholder mapping, as well as policy briefs that are so much instrumental in recommending policy makers on what best suits the citizens and in what capacity. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Today, Launa is making strides through its real-time asynchronous attributes today, whereby we are actually creating awareness through the data that we are actually collecting and through our tools, such that people can be in position to change their social behaviors, as well as understand the values of digital transformation. Since most of these communities are actually marginalized communities and are vulnerable to the importance as well as values of technology. Besides that, we are creating local agents of change through the Launa project, from local decentralization, local decentralized levels to high leadership levels, whereby these are the people at the end of the day who are actually going to be in position to use these tools, as well as act as policymakers in implementing and fighting the microplastic scourge. We are engaging communities at different shower points, and we are proud to say that 15 communities have now accepted to collaborate with us in the fight against microplastic pollution, whereby fishermen, farmers, leaders, as well as government agencies are also shaping up and taking our recommendations to the maximum, such that they are stringent laws created, policies developed, as well as making sure that we fight the scourge of microplastic pollution together as a whole, not as an individual organization. Above all, I thank all our partners for helping us achieve this milestone, and I thank you all for attending this presentation.
Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Nadia. It's really remarkably wonderful work you're doing. You know, I come from the world of statistics where we're teaching how to produce good statistics, but you guys are actually applying it and making a difference. So fantastic world. So I'm going to pose a couple of questions to our speakers first, and then open up the floor to the audience if they want to ask questions. And maybe they can start putting questions in the chat. I already see some there. So thank you all for your presentation. So the first question that I'll ask maybe Nadia and Nelson. Many of the new methods being used in both sectors, that is official statistics and yours, like geospatial software, machine learning, increasing use of technologically sophisticated methods, dashboards, etc. They are similar in both fields. What are some of the barriers you have faced in civil society organizations in building the capacity of the people you're working with. So who would like to go first? Nadia? Or...
Yeah, I can go ahead and start, and then Nelson.
Ladies first.
I think, Vitaly, it's a really good question. And I feel as though there are so many of these tools and technologies, and they're advancing very, very quickly. So quickly that it's hard for us to keep up with them. And those of us that have trained a couple of years ago, or 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, we're not necessarily ready and equipped to know what are the tools available, what can I do with them, how can I implement them, make sense of them. So because of this advancement, it's taking some time for all of us to catch up and to understand them. And unless we're regularly getting updated on this information, it's hard to keep up with it. So when we work with various nonprofits, I think that is the first challenge that we see. They know that these tools exist and they've heard that it could be useful to them and they really want to take part, but the capacity, the knowledge about what it is and how to implement it is limited. And that's very much expected. And so that is the first challenge. And at MSG, we try to bring together recent grads or fresh postdocs who've just trained in that approach in machine learning, and they're ready to go, and they've done a series of analyses, and we bring them into the team and say, okay, now teach us and help us work with the nonprofits who want to work in this space, and advise them on the latest approaches and the tips and the tricks on how to do this better. So I would say that's one big challenge, and that's how MSG has tried to work with that challenge in the nonprofits that we support. And I think there are other challenges, but maybe I will give a chance for Nelson to come in on this question as well.
Thank you, Nadia. Maybe I will speak more onto the aspects that the challenges we face while in the field. One is that the people that we are actually collaborating with, these are vulnerable people that have never used smartphones, and some have never heard of the internet. So we are facing challenges of driving awareness or advancing digital transformation from the labs where we develop these tools to the communities where we expedite these kind of rehabilitation and environmental awareness efforts. So today, we have these communities that are willing to collaborate with us, they are willing to work with us, but they are extremely novice users. And we face a lag in implementing our programs depending on our timelines, such that we have to make people understand the tools before actually call ourselves successful in implementing these methodologies and technologies in the field. Maybe besides that, at the policy level and government level, we are facing challenges whereby processing a drone license, it's becoming very hard, as well as the bureaucratic and administrative controls of the government. They delay processes whereby with the advancement and the scourge and the levels of plastics are extremely increasing. So when we reach to them, there are a lot of documentation required and delays whereby people are actually not available on time. And that actually deters the rate at which we could actually expedite our solutions to make sure that the impact is actually felt on ground, as well as people can really understand the values of these technologies to their benefit, and also the environment, as well as the ecosystems surrounding the freshwater bodies.
Very good. Yeah. So in official statistics, what we find often is that like the statistics offices are not in the driving seat often of their own development. A lot of the impetus comes from international organizations and outside donors, which is not a very good way of sustaining any kind of training and capacity building. This round of censuses, we have found that a lot of companies, from the developed world have come in with really fancy satellite imagery or geospatial or but these countries are not ready to adopt because they don't have the capacity, but they are tempted to use everything because it's being sold, as the solution. And so we always face the thing that, okay, be realistic. This thing can be done, but you don't have to use the most sophisticated technology right now. You need to build your own skills rather than depending on somebody else. So that is one of the barriers we face, that in a way, international organizations also should be careful and let the countries drive their growth, and be in a position to dictate what is required. So, okay, second question. And Bianca, I'll start with you. How do you ensure sustainability of the capacity that you build through the trainings? Do you evaluate the impact after some time? You mentioned something in your presentation, and I would like you to elaborate. And then, of course, Nadia and Nelson.
Bianca, you go first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bianca.
As I said before, we invested a lot of time and effort in dealing with the needs assessment first, okay? Because it was pretty disorganized. People asked a lot, okay? And they couldn't even, bosses, they couldn't even leave their employees to take the courses. So when they asked, they didn't plan for
I think
the employees leave, for example. So we spent some time on that. We're always concerned with evaluation, and we improved our reaction assessment a lot. We're still working on indicators, more quantitative indicators, but we already use the data from the reaction assessment of courses and capacity building events to feed back into the courses. I mean, in terms of a quality process, okay, reviewing courses and making them better, but we still don't do impact assessment in a systematic way. And I think this is a problem, a very frequent problem. We are already doing some with some courses like on demand. For example, this risk management course we offer for the managerial body of the institution. We run some impact assessment, and this feeds back into the course, and we turn it more fit for purpose. Yeah, because this is a specific, for example, in this case, this is a specific methodology developed for IBGE, although it borrows from the methodology we apply in the whole government bodies of Brazil. We developed some specifics just to apply in IBGE. So in this case, for example, we have already conducted some impact assessment, but we still need to progress on that. And I think this is part of the sustainability we wish to reach for the training programs. But I think we also do that sustainability by using existing resources, by thinking and reflecting well on the needs, and also by investing in knowledge management. Because not always, this is something we are always talking about here internally at IBGE, not always a gap in performance means that we need capacity building. Sometimes it's a problem of work process or of knowledge management. The knowledge is already there in the staff, and people, okay, I'm going to take a course as the panacea for everything. This is a wrong mindset. We also worked with this when we developed this needs assessment, actually by building the capacity of representatives, our representatives, the school representatives in the state units, of looking deeply into those points, yes. So not always how do you assess your needs, etc. And we also invest not only on courses but on communities of practice to foster. This is also sustainability, to foster knowledge management. And so not necessarily we are always producing courses, yes, because everybody thinks of courses, yes, as solution. Okay, so this is but
Bianca.
certainly impact assessment is
Important, I know, and most of us are not doing a good job. Nelson, Nadia, we just have 1 minute or less, so do you have anything that you would definitely like to say about evaluating the impact and sustainability of all the training you've done?
Nadia can go first.
Nelson, you go ahead.
Okay, now
We're at the last minute. Go ahead.
To be honest, despite the fact that we are increasing the sensitization and awareness, we are facing challenges with people on islands and those on the shores. Truth be told, a farmer that was there in the morning will not turn up in the evening, or a fisherman that turned up in the evening will not be available in the morning. So we've tried to resort this to the local council leaders, whereby they can really get a group of people, mainly girls and women and a few youths, that we can focus on for now, such that we build these kind of, or we nurture this kind of skills at that level. Reason why we are going into women and girls because of the digital divide, as well as youths, because they are the next generation, and the community will have to grow grow through them, such that we have to create these potential leaders early in life. So now, more so, women are influential at home, whereby there is urgent need to change the use of single-use plastics, as well as be in position to change behaviors or social behavior change, such that social impact is actually felt on ground in these vulnerable and marginalized communities where we operate.
Yeah.
So it's actually a challenge for evaluating, but we are trying to push for that. For the sustainability bit, maybe we of course, we're a non-for-profit organization. We sell part of the data to people that need our data for analysis. For example, some NGOs that need visualized data and they cannot do it by themselves. We do that because we are an open source. We subscribe to the open principle. So we share all our findings online. If you can't do it by yourself and you want us to do it, we'll have to charge you for that. And we are working with a number of partners that are trying to support us. Patricia McGovern is doing a great job, as well as other partners. So we are trying to create good models that don't affect the impact, but as well as helping us be in position to remain sustainable. So we are also adding in more features, maybe like chat rooms, depending on, we need to put these people closer to the smartphones, so they need to understand better. So those are some of the things that we're doing.
Okay, thank you. So
You're
it's
welcome.
really inspiring work. I'm really impressed with what both Nelson, Nadia, you presented, and I'm very impressed with Brazil's training institute with so many courses, soft skills as well as technical skills, because really even statistical capacity one cannot build unless you have good soft skills. Management is also important. Communication is important. And as you said in your barriers, that the politics, the governance, those are barriers that we also need to address in the development of these capacity strengthening in any area. So thank you all for being here. Over here, it's very late. Over in Africa, it's very early. And in China, you're just on time. So thank you all so much for this session. And I'm sorry we couldn't take too many questions. We've run out of time. Okay. Bye-bye and good night, good morning, and enjoy your day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
bye bye.
Bye-bye.